Story 1. When I was 19 years old, I had a son. He passed away from pneumonia caused by respiratory syncytial virus. He was also a premature baby. This is a personal story that I have created. In my narrative, my son, having died in this universe, searches the multiverse for a version of me who has lost him. As a teenager, he wants to learn about me and his origins because, in his universe, I died when he was a baby. Story 2. I would do that for them. My mom passed away when I was young, and I would give anything to talk to some version of her. Story 3. I would probably be very confused since I am certain I never want children, but I certainly wouldn't send them away. Besides, teenagers are not really the same as newborns. I imagine I would enjoy getting to know them. I am not sure if I would be a good parent or a second parent, but we would figure it out. Story 4. I have one child and am really sad that I wasn't able to have more. I wonder if they are allowed to travel between universes permanently, because it seems like we are both wishing for each other even if I didn't know it. Story 5. There is probably a version of me that lost a version of you. Maybe you could help each other? I will help you look, but I am not returning to this universe. Story 6. You might want to try a different universe unless you really want to replace that grief with disappointment. But first, do you want to see my coin collection? Story 7. Hi, sweetheart. I wasn't expecting you. Wait, you're from where? That is amazing. I always knew that about you, though. What brings you across time and space to me? It must be important. Have you eaten? Story 8. Far be it from me to refuse a child in need of their parent. I was just about to start my weekly meal preparation. Come on into the kitchen and you and your father can talk. Okay? Story 9. I can't wait to identify the points of divergence. If another version of myself were anything like me, he would have taken steps to prepare his children for this scenario, as evidenced by the fact that this scenario has occurred. Story 10. Hello. Come and meet your brothers and mother from this universe. But first, 2 questions. How did you arrive here and are you proud of it? Because I am. Story 11. Well, come on then. Let's go grab a hot chocolate and plan our day. They are a teenager, so I'm sure the emotions and conversation will come in time. Story 12. I would honestly be excited. I want to know what their life was like and try to provide some closure for the alternate universe child. Hopefully, the experience will not leave me with any regrets for not having children in this universe. Story 13. I have always wanted kids and I like kids. While I may never be their mother in this scenario, perhaps we have enough in common that I can answer questions for them or share my thoughts about them and their inquiries. Seriously, how many LGBTQ+ individuals on Reddit lost their parents before coming out and would give anything to know what their parents thought of them or if they would be proud? It doesn't have to be a child you raised to still hold significance in their life. Even if both of you are unsure how to feel, it's important to recognize the value of your role in their life. Hug your new child and tell them you love them and are proud of them. Nothing will ever change that, and you will always be there for them. Provide them with the opportunity to hear their parents' voice one last time, expressing unconditional love and acceptance. Real-world parents with real-world children often feel unsure and uneasy about certain things too. You sense it until it becomes true. One of my friend's children once said to me, "I wish you could be my mommy," because she is still young enough to not understand that being the fun aunt doesn't mean you would be the fun mom. Aunties can take children on their first big city adventure, buy their first fake ID, get them their first drinks and tattoos, and have them home in time for their 16th birthday. Mothers have to set rules, be stern, and suppress a laugh when a witty comeback is delivered to a sibling. That's life. None of this means that if I had to be her mother tomorrow, God forbid, I wouldn't strive to be the best mother I could be for her. This situation is even closer to that reality. Story 14. Baby, when was the last time you ate? What is your favorite food? We are going to get it. Tell me what is going on and ask me anything you want after you share this. Are you safe? When or if you go back, do you have safe people and a safe home to return to? Do you have free and open access to food and water? Are you in school, and if so, where and what grade are you in? I do not care if you are from another universe. My primary goal is to make sure that you are safe, warm, and loved. You are technically mine after all. I just want to know that the alternate child of Datzentigger is safe and taken care of. Yes, I have complex post-traumatic stress disorder. Story 15. I have always wanted children, but circumstances have prevented me from having biological kids. We are currently fostering and will eventually adopt. I would be thrilled. Story 16. Sweep him up into a giant hug and talk to him. My boy is my boy, no matter what, and I will love him more than life itself in any timeline or universe. Story 17. You are all much nicer than I am. I would never believe it and would ask them to please leave before they broke the multiverse. I like my life the way it is, and I have seen enough science fiction to know how these situations typically end. Story 18. Well, first I would ask them how they opened that portal, but since it's a child, I would care for them and try to make the best of it. Story 19. That's an unconventional coping mechanism. Let's discuss why you feel compelled to seek out an alternate version of your father instead of processing your grief. Story 20. Being myself, it's always about food. All right, kid, let's get some food, and you can tell me who your father is. You can ask anything after that. Story 21. Let's go to Six Flags. I can't afford to take you to Disneyland, but we can enjoy the warm weather on the islands in Lake Erie. Story 22. Come here, sweetheart. Let me hug you. Then we can sit and talk, go for a walk, or go out to eat. Whatever you want to do. Story 23. I lost my daughter in this life. I would give anything to meet the teenage version of her and hear about the life we had together. Story 24. You died in my mind before you were born, and I have always wondered who you would have been. Let us get to know each other. I love you. I have always loved you since before I met you. Thank you for coming here. Story 25. You know you have created an imbalance in this universe, right? There is only one way to fix it. Let us go fishing. Story 26. Well, you're here and I'm not going to ask how. Let's get you cleaned up and get some food in you. We can sit and talk about how you feel and figure out how this is going to work. I can say that walking through an interdimensional portal was both incredibly brave and somewhat reckless. As your dad, I am equally horrified and proud. Story 27. I would hug the child for a long time. Then I would sit in silence, go for a walk, and make them a hot meal. I would ask them to stay as long as they liked. Story 28. I want children, but I'm unsure if I will be able to have them, so this is meaningful to me as it might be for them. I would ask them if they had a good childhood and if there is anything they need to make up for. Story 29. I would say, sure, but fair warning, I'm kind of a train wreck, and I hope you had a much better version of me. Story 30. I would probably cry and hug him. I would ask him about the role I play in his universe and share my life story, explaining why it wasn't possible for him to exist in this world. I would hold him and ask what he wants to do while he's here, and do my best to fulfill those wishes, being the parent I wish I could have been to him. I would ensure my partner has the chance to spend time with him as well. I would apologize, love him, and hold him tight for as long as I could until I had to let go. Story 31. I am going to ask if we can go back through his portal so I can spend a day surprising people as a ghost. Story 32. My son died in this universe, so I would cherish every moment with him. Just to see what he would look like not as an infant would be amazing, and getting to know him even for a short time would be a dream come true. Story 33. I would tell them everything I could about anything they wanted to know, show them all my and hopefully their parents' favorite places, and ask a multitude of questions in return. Story 34. I am firmly child-free, so the thought of that situation would be overwhelming for me. However, losing a parent is a traumatic experience. If I had the option to change that after losing a parent, I would definitely consider it. I saw another comment that said, "Wow, I must have done something good for you to want to do that. Let's talk. Tell me all about it." I think that is a thoughtful response. Story 35. I would embrace them in a tight hug, tell them I love them, help them settle with some food and a warm drink, place a cat on their lap, and encourage them to share everything about themselves. They are my child, so they will always have a place with me. I have never wanted children, but if I were to have one, I would care for them and love them unconditionally. Story 36. I have had a similar experience in the past. An older lady on the bus approached me and said I resembled her grandson. Being the socially awkward teenager I was at the time, I panicked and replied, "No, thanks," and got off at the next stop. I felt a bit of guilt afterward, but reflecting on this today, I wish I had handled it differently. Story 37. I have no interest in having children. However, I would still spend time with them, especially if it brings them some peace. Story 38. I would share everything they wanted to know because that is the least I can do. Then I would express how much both my current self and the deceased love them. If the child is my current infant son, I would share all his cute little quirks and describe how raising him has been. I would also find a way to support him or allow him to stay if he desired, and if not, I would let him know he is welcome anytime. If the child is a future planned second child, I would advise against sharing any information about their conception or birth, as I do not want to disrupt their existence in this timeline. I would encourage them to jump to a safer point in the timeline after their birth so I can support them there, but I would assure them that I will remember them. Story 39. I hug them tightly and tell them how much they are loved and how important they are to me. That is what they need to hear. Story 40. This universe didn't allow me to have you. Let's sit and talk. My heart has been longing for you for years. Story 41. The fact that most of the responses here are simple and heartfelt, rather than jokes or the obvious question of what happened, makes me wonder if these are advanced bots. This isn't my Reddit, but I would say, okay. Do you want a soda? Story 42. Any version of me that had a child would be nothing like me. I have nothing in common with this teenager's parent. Story 43. I say, my version of you died in this universe. I'm so glad you're here. Maybe we can help each other be less sad. I hope they stay forever. She was 22. It was almost 6 months ago. Story 44. There is no way this ends well. Even if you decide you like this version of me, you will only feel worse when you go home. It will be better for everyone if you leave now and process this naturally. Story 45. How would that work with my custody agreement? Would her mother and I need to exchange the agreements, synchronize them on the same schedule, or simply each keep one? Story 46. I apologize for leaving him so early and for waking him without his consent, which was something I never wanted to do. I will do everything I can to help him have the best day ever while teaching him as much as I can. Story 47. I would directly tell them to go back because I am not their father and I do not plan to have children. I am not capable of helping them. They should not assume that every version of me has the same personality or beliefs. Instead, they should seek better support to cope with their father's death. Perhaps they should spend time with their mother and whatever family they have to heal. I will be straightforward and I will not spend time with them. I do not care what happens to other versions of me. That is not my concern. Story 48. Wingman that individual and end up in a paradox where their arrival to our timeline coincides with their own conception in this timeline after ample shenanigans occur. Story 49. Okay. Hey E. Come meet your interdimensional sibling. How long are you staying? We'll set up the extra room for you. Story 50. Oh man, I am not old enough to have a teenager, but sure, okay. I will give it a go. Wait, no. I want to know how I died. Story 51. I am sorry they faced that, and I hope that spending this time with me helps them with what they need now and in the future. Story 52. Considering I never wanted my own children, but liked the idea of adopting an older child or teenager, I would probably ask them if they could stay. I would ask them what their mother had told them about herself and share information about myself. I would inquire about their interests, their opinions on various subjects, and try to offer advice. In short, I would treat them as my own. Story 53. That's rough. What was the other me like and how did he die? What are your interests, son from another reality? Let's talk. I may not be your dad, and you're not my son, but in another life we are, so let's get to know each other. Maybe you can give me some pointers on raising my best version of you. It's unusual for a father to seek advice from his alternate reality son on how to raise his own unborn child. What a strange world, but I'm here for it. Tell me how I can best raise you in my world. What are your best and worst memories of your father? What could I have done better? Share everything. Ask anything. I want as much information as I can get to raise a child well enough that he becomes a time traveler. You're not even my direct child, and I am proud of you. Story 54. Your father's name wouldn't be James, would it? She had you when she wasn't much older than you are now, right? I'm guessing she ran away because Dad threatened to harm us all. Story 55. I would be confused because I don't have children. However, I do not know my future either. So I guess I'll spend time with them, take them to my favorite places, play some video games, and talk about life. Story 56. Well, first of all, they have just kicked off the mother of all anxiety attacks, and now no one is having a good time. Story 57. Do you want to have a catch? I have 2 children, and I love them dearly. However, I tried desperately to get them to enjoy sports and failed miserably. Perhaps I was lucky in another dimension. Story 58. So, you're telling me I'm effectively immortal until at least 10 months before. When is your birthday again? Story 59. Yeah. Okay. But only if you help me figure out what that funny smell in my fridge is. What can I say? The person is consistent. Story 60. Of course, I would love to spend time with my teenager. I mean, on this planet, this is a historic opportunity. Teenagers only want to do things typical for their age, often excluding their parents. Story 61. I am sorry to hear about your father's passing. Please understand that I am not him. I do not have children, and that has been a deliberate choice. It is difficult for me to comprehend how any version of myself would desire to have kids. This is not a reflection on you at all. It appears that we both have many questions and curiosities. Let's get something to eat and discuss everything. Story 62. Your mother and I have an appointment booked to see if you really exist in a week. Let's go. Story 63. My daughter and I take small walks through the woods near our home. I would ask her if she would like to join me for a walk, so we can talk about what has happened and if she would like to share anything with me. Story 64. I would ask if there is some strange time dilation occurring because there is no way I am old enough to have a teenage child. Story 65. I'll explain that I'm not sure how to be a mother since I don't have children, but let's do everything you love and spend some time together. Story 66. Hello, I am sorry for leaving you. I am glad you found me. Let's grab some food, come back, and relax. You will be fine. Your siblings are going to be a challenge, but only in a good way. Story 67. The first thing I need to do is determine what level of craziness they inherited from my side of the family. If they are about average, I would love it and be happy to get to know them and hear all about their lives. Story 68. I want you to know that no matter which universe we are in, together or apart, I love you. I am proud of you, and you are the greatest thing to ever happen to me. I love my daughter so much and could not imagine being without her. Story 69. On one hand, any version of me that is having children is sufficiently different from me that I will not be a very good replacement. However, on the other hand, forget that. Do you play Warframe? Story 70. Of course, I would spend some time to chat with them. However, I would have questions about who I was in this alternate universe where I was born healthy enough to have children. I would be concerned that this version of me might be too different to provide them with any comfort. Story 71. Who is the president? If it is someone who isn't Trump, I will push them aside and dive into that world. Story 72. Okay, we can talk and maybe get ice cream, but first tell me about the technology that allows you to travel from another universe, or direct me to someone who can explain it. Story 73. How? If it was suicide when you were 2, I need to confront my past because I did not plan on doubling that trauma and passing it on to the next person. Honestly, in this timeline, I wasn't planning on having children, but you're my child now. Those are the rules. Clearly, the other version of me couldn't handle it, so I'm going to step up and do my best. Story 74. Hello? Come stay in my room. We will figure something out. Do you want to go home? That's fine. Do you want to stay here? I understand, and we will make it work together. Story 75. I would ask them what the other me was like, whether they were a good parent, what difficult events led them to having a child, and what life was like, I suppose. Story 76. I hope to be a better version of myself, not a worse one, and to invite them to stay in my universe and be a big sibling to this version of themselves and their other siblings. Story 77. Who is your mother? We will talk. I have always wanted children, but I keep getting hurt in relationships, so I have relied on my friends' children. Tell me about your life. What is your name? I probably should have started with that. What was I like in the other universe? Story 78. In all honesty, I would probably start off by setting some very clear boundaries. I am not your father. Your father was a man who made vastly different life choices to become a dad, and I am clearly not that man. You are not my child. I haven't raised you or had the emotional imprinting and perspective shift that often comes with having a child. However, if you have questions about my past before the divergence, I am happy to discuss. I can tell you about your grandmother and great-grandparents and all the stories your father never got to tell you. I can answer certain questions, but I may not answer them all. Let's pour some soda, relax, and you can pick my brain. However, after this conversation, I think it is better if we go our separate ways. You need to heal from losing your father and process your grief without simply trying to stifle it with a replacement. I have not, nor do I intend to have children or be responsible for them. I'll give you a hug, tell you I hope everything gets better, and remind you to be safe and know your own value. Also, be aware of the pattern of alcohol addiction that runs through our family. Story 79. Absolutely. They can stay. I will have a child without experiencing all the difficult years. Additionally, we can research and monetize the portal technology together. Any child of mine is bound to want that, I am sure. Story 80. Do you know how many shows and books have explored this theme? One day, make a home-cooked meal, bake cookies, watch your favorite movie, and talk. But there is a deadline, and they cannot keep coming back. They have to understand that you are not their parent. You lived a different life, and yours is taking a different path. I am sure their parent loved them, and they are a wonderful person, but they need to live their own life with the family and friends who love them. They cannot dwell in a dream of possibilities without them. To me, I am just a dream. They need to hold on to the real memories of their parent, to cherish and treasure them, not create false ones. Story 81. Longest hug ever. These are your siblings. Let's head down to the high school to get you enrolled. Are you okay with bunk beds? Story 82. Sure. Let's go grab some dinner and head down to Lake Michigan. If you're still around when my wife gets home from work, she would love to meet you. Story 83. All right, we're going to a movie and getting pie. Also, are you and your mother committed to your dimension? Story 84. I take a moment to process what they just said about alternate universes existing. Before I boot up the PlayStation 5, I hand them an extra controller and say, take your pick of cooperative games. Story 85. I tell my children how proud I am of them and how loved they are. I give them hugs as soon as I can. They are everything to me and they know it. My greatest fear has always been losing them at a young age. I am excited to see them grow into adults. And my one hope is to be here long enough to witness that. No matter what timeline they are in, I love them more than anything. Story 86. Who is your mother? I never had any children of my own. By the time I found a woman worth having children with, it was too late. I can be frustrated with myself for letting an opportunity slip by or for just never meeting her. Story 87. Absolutely. I apologize for not having the memories you do, but I would love to sit and talk. You came all this way to see me. You must be quite remarkable. Story 88. I would be touched and take them on vacation with me. I would treat them like my son or daughter and answer all their questions. There is no reason a person emerging from a portal out of nowhere would have an ulterior motive other than what they say. My only fear is that I would not live up to their expectations. Story 89. Is your mom still incredibly beautiful in your universe timeline? I remember having an amazing experience with your mom, didn't I? She is truly stunning. Story 90. Let's do this father-son thing. In this universe, there are so many kids without parents, and I would love to spend some time being a dad to them as well. Story 91. Ask them to go back and rob a bank. Then join me so we can live happily together forever because I'm broke and cannot afford a child. Story 92. Sure. Let's go watch some anime and play some video games. How old are you? 16. You're older than me. Okay, what do you want to watch? Got it. Story 93. Alright, not like I have much else going on anyway. So what do you want to do? Play some video games? Story 94. I am a 17-year-old with strict parents, and there is not much to do at home right now. However, I plan to tell them that tomorrow, after school ends, I will sneak out, and we can go to the mall together to eat, shop, and chat about everything. I will also ask them if their version of me in their universe was also autistic with a hyperfixation on oceans and seals. Finally, I will ask them everything about themselves and how I was as a parent. Story 95. Hug them, tell them I am here for them, and that I want to know everything about them because I could not have them in this timeline. Story 96. I would say yes, but it is strange that all the right circumstances came together for me to exist in another universe. Story 97. I would immediately assume I had died from complications during their birth, as that is one of the reasons I chose not to have children in this universe. Story 98. I'm a different version of myself in this universe, one who knows how to be a mother and actually wants to be. This version took a lot of care not to take on that role and to avoid that experience. None of the versions will actually be their mother, any more than a twin sibling would. Story 99. I would give them a big hug and ask if they would like a warm drink, allowing them to talk for as long as they want. Then I would invite them to come back anytime they would like. Story 100. I want to understand what led me to that point. I am gay and don't think I will ever get married, so I definitely don't believe I will have the opportunity to have children. Story 101. I don't care if they are my alternate child. If someone walks out of a portal and wants to hang out with me, I will say yes until it is clear that I need to escape from that situation. They will either share something interesting, or they may possess powers that I am ill-equipped to resist, so it is best not to anger them. Story 102. I would let them, but I would feel pretty awkward. I doubt I would be like their parent. Their parent obviously had a different life and will be a different person. Story 103. A teenager who wants to talk to me instead of the sullen door slammers I have at home? Where do I sign up? Story 104. Hey buddy, I'm sorry you went through that. Do you want to talk about it? I want to hear your story and where you came from. Story 105. Can we go back to your universe together? If you have intermultiverse travel, you must be doing much better socially. Story 106. I would give them a big bear hug. If they accept, tell them I love them, and ask if they want some cocoa or tea before we curl up on the couch to talk. Internally, I would feel a mix of, I'm so sorry this happened to you, and in another universe, it worked out, and I have a child. Lucky me. Story 107. I guess if they want to hang out, that is cool. I am not sure I can live up to the version of me in that other universe, though. Story 108. Sure, kid, but you might want to try the universe in the opposite direction. I would make a poor parent, and I have never been less qualified to be a role model. Story 109. I can imagine it took a lot to come to another universe just to spend time. Make yourself comfortable. You also have two furry siblings who have established their territory here at home. Lex is in the bedroom and Kiko is in the front room. Story 110. These are not the individuals you are seeking. I am nothing like him. I am neither fortunate enough to have a child nor fortunate enough to be deceased. This is not the experience you desire. Story 111. I need to get a rundown of what happened. Here, have a glass of water and we'll talk about it. What do you mean I ended my life after my significant other died while on active duty? Wow, okay, let's watch a movie of your choice. You've been through a lot. Story 112. First of all, hugs are in order. Second, I strongly suggest that if they could go to an older version of me, They should, because I am 22 and would likely be more financially, mentally, and emotionally capable of being present with them and having a good time in the future. Third, we're hanging out anyway. I want to hear and talk about everything they want. Story 113. I want to hear everything. I would give them a big hug and want to learn about it all. Then I would show them what my life is like and let them see all the exciting aspects of 2025. Story 114. All right, kid, grab a seat. Tell me everything. What did I do in your world? How did I go out? And most importantly, did I leave behind any cool secrets or a fortune? Story 115. The fact that he wants to see me means I did better than my parents, albeit in a different universe. I will probably cry. Story 116. Well, in this universe, you have other siblings and a father. The youngest is going to be very excited to meet you, but it is important to prioritize one-on-one time. What do you want to discuss? Story 117. This would be intensely strange for me. I am a gay man, and I fully embrace my identity. A version of me that was straight or bisexual would be so different that it would feel like a completely different person, not an alternate version of myself. I have also come across many women who believe they can touch me without consent. Perhaps the child resulted from an encounter where things escalated. I truly don't know what I would say. Story 118. I would ask them to move to my alternate timeline so they could be with me always. No set bedtime, dessert every night, and just because you're my child, presents. Story 119. I would hang out, but I would also try to find out if their dimension has any technology that isn't present in our dimension. I hope their dimension has some technology one could recreate here to make a fortune. Story 120. I have never wanted children and have found joy in being the fun uncle. Stepping up for a parallel universe's version of my own child would not be a big deal. I am glad that that version of me raised them well so that they want to spend time with me. Story 121. If you want to go through all the trouble of traveling from a different universe to this one in hopes of spending time with me because I died in your universe, then there is at least a 98.649% chance that the version of me from your universe was obviously a much better version of me, as I have people in this universe who won't drive across town to spend time with me, just to keep your hopes realistic. Story 122. Come here, let's cuddle like we did when you were little. Then, I'll make you a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and we can talk about your day and everything you want to do. Story 123. I'd freeze for a second, staring into their eyes so familiar, yet carrying a pain I never placed there. You found your way here through all that pain, all that loss, and you still had the courage to come see me. I'd walk over, arms open, heart breaking and overflowing all at once. I may not be your parent from that universe, but if you'll let me, I'd like to be someone who can hold that space for you. For as long as you need, then I'd make them pancakes. Because no matter what universe you're from, pancakes are love. Story 124. I'm so happy you're here. Stay as long as you want. Do you want to meet your brother? I have a 16-year-old. Story 125. I would give them some ointment for their eczema and check to see if they have enough contact lenses, as the baby is blind. I have to ensure my little one is comfortable. Story 126. Ask my child where I should invest so I can leave something for them. I bet the world that you would even have to pay to breathe. Other than that, we are both enjoying whatever activities my child wants to experience. Story 127. I would ask whether I am straight in his universe or whether men can procreate with each other in his universe. Story 128. Sure. Here is the revised content. Absolutely. Please share all the information you have. I have always believed there are other universes. But remember, I am not your reflection. Story 129. Take me back with you, please. It's worth a shot. I can't imagine you would be any worse than the teenager I already have. Story 130. It's unlikely I will have children in this universe, even though I would like to. The version of me who brought you into existence must have been a much better person than I was. I hope I can live up to that. Stay for as long as you would like. Story 131. I would be very comfortable spending time with them. Whether in another universe or not, they are still my child. and I would be intrigued to learn more about them and their universe. Story 132. Honestly, this would probably terrify me. It sounds like a silent, personal hell, as if I were being punished for my actions. The knowledge that in this universe I never had them would deeply affect me, I believe. Story 133. That's so cool. How does this portal work? Once explained, eliminate them and take it from them. Story 134. Well, I guess I'm raising a teenager. I wanted to be a mother, but I took precautions because of my mental health and the rarity due to polycystic ovary syndrome. I'm just glad that one of my alternate realities got to experience it, and I hope my own reality can live up to that memory. Story 135. I would play along until I find out who they really are and what they want. I am pretty sure I am childless in every universe. Story 136. Definitely sit and chat. I'm not viewed as a parent, but maybe they can find some peace. I would then try to understand the portal technology. Story 137. Firstly, I would figure out who in their right mind wanted to have a child with me of all people. Then I would do everything I could to take care of them. I may not have much, but I would not turn away my own child. Story 138. I would spend time with them as much as possible. I would likely express my concerns about how different I might be compared to their in-universe mother. However, I would love them to the best of my ability. Story 139. I would be terrified of not living up to their expectations. A version of me that became a mom? First of all, I'm gay, and my girlfriend and I don't want kids. So that even happening would have been a small disaster in my personal life. Secondly, I am not that responsible, put-together person that a mother probably has to be. But I would make the child a coffee and have a nice talk about it. Story 140. Sorry, kid, you picked the wrong universe. I'm the version that would never have children, no matter what. I'll take you out to eat ice cream, but I need you back in your dimension as soon as possible. I promise I'm not a heartless person. I just have a lot of problems. Story 141. I would politely send them back. The version they know and love isn't me. We probably share no personality traits, only our appearance, like in Severance. It's wishful thinking. Story 142. Cry tears of joy and learn everything about them and how I fit into that universe. I cannot have children, so I would be a mess. Story 143. I would ask them what it is like to ice skate in hell with all those pigs flying about. More seriously, I would ask them about themselves and me in another world, where they went for holidays, how their parents met, if they are happy, if they have pets, and what we are like as a family. I would be a very inquisitive person, asking everything I can. Story 144. How long? Is 24 hours the maximum? I'm speaking with my wife to arrange for our children. Now they have siblings. We can take them for ice cream and a stroll, then go home, clean up, have dinner, watch movies, and chat over tea. Is 1 week the maximum? There will be a lot of activities. The child is going to be overwhelmed with all the hobbies I have. Story 145. Wild Blow is a poor writer, and the only thing Worm achieved is highlighting the importance of editors. Story 146. I am confused because I never wanted children, so I would gladly talk with him. However, I need to ensure he understands I am not the same person his father was. We have a fundamental difference and likely many more. Story 147. I say, prove it. And if they can provide documentary evidence, then I say, yes, okay. I am making pizza. Do you want to help? Story 148. Sure. Let's go to your favorite destination, and I'll make your preferred dinner for you and the universe tonight. What do you say? Story 149. I would love to spend every minute with you forever, but you may not like this version of me. Hopefully, my other version was a much better person. Story 150. Sure, but not forever, right? I'm broke and a student. I can't help you. Let's go eat some tacos, though. Story 151. I'm not the father you were looking for. Please leave. I don't trust anyone from a portal. I've seen enough Rick and Morty episodes. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.